Hello, everyone.
I think we're live now.
Yes, we are.
Welcome.
Hi to everyone.
Happy weekend.
Thanks for joining us in this interesting topic.
Let's wait a few minutes more so more people can join us. Grab your favorite drink, coffee, whatever you are, and wait a little bit for us.
Also, it would be great if you can share the session with all your friends.
Hello. We have people from everybody, from everywhere. Where are you based, Leo? In the meantime, yeah, there we go. Amanda's here.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I'm
could you
based
hear me?
in. Yeah. Yes. Well.
We used to hear you. So welcome everybody. We're here to introduce you Amanda the robot.
Yeah. Well, I'm based in Costa Rica in this moment. Where are
All
you
right.
based, Laura?
I am in London, same as Amanda, but I'm from Argentina.
Oh, cool. How is the weather in this moment in London?
Right now it's pretty sunny. So yeah.
Sorry, folks. Did you hear my introduction?
No.
No, you
Sorry,
were frozen. Go
I'll
back.
just get back. Sorry,
Yes.
Yeah,
I
sure.
said so. Starting over. Sorry for the small difficulties here. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to Eddie for having us from GDG Cloud London host the event on his channel and for giving from his own time on a weekend for community to manage this. So big shout to you. Thank you. A little
Thank
introduction
you.
about what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about emerging technologies and the use of conversational AI, how we're going to interact with virtual assistants. And if you'd like to hear more about that, please stay until the end because we have some very special speakers. Starting with myself, I'm originally from Brazil, but I live here in London nowadays in the UK. I work as a software developer. I'm a community organizer at GDG Cloud London, as you can guess, and I'm also a Women Tech Makers ambassador. And I'll pass it on to Laura now to introduce herself. Community organizer at
Hi everybody. Well, I'm Laura. I'm originally from Argentina, so I think we are all Latin Americans today. That's super cool. I'm based in London, same as Amanda. I'm a huge fan of Google Cloud London. I'm also Google Developer Expert in Firebase in this case, and also such a huge fan of voice technologies. Currently, I'm working in Samsung Internet as a developer advocate. So go, Leo.
Oh, cool. Thank you. I'm based a little bit far from you. I'm in San Jose, Costa Rica. Actually, it's pretty sunny over here. So um, I'm a virtual assistant developer. Also, I'm a Google Developer Expert in G Suite. I'm a huge fan about voice assistant, voice technologies, and how it's gonna change all our lives. And so I'm so happy to be here with you to have a great talk about all these emerging technologies. So we're gonna have a lot of fun today. We're gonna share a lot about our experiences, about how we have seen this technology is going to keep evolving. So I'm really interested about all the questions that you have. Share with us also like all your experiences using these technologies. And yeah, thank you everybody for being here and share this with all your friends and family.
Very, very good. Thank you for the introduction. We also have a fourth speaker. So if she's going to join us later on, her name is Lesly. She's based in Bolivia. She's also a Google Developers Expert. If she's not here, I'm going to share in a little bit her contact on Twitter so you can follow her and know a bit more of what she's been doing in Bolivia, helping out with machine learning and voice and other technologies. So just so we get started here, because I think maybe some people don't know much about virtual assistants and the capabilities and the possibilities of it. Could you tell me how in your daily lives do you interact with the assistant, with virtual assistants?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm a huge fan of voice technologies. First of all, because I'm the kind of person that tries to avoid having some devices the whole time. I really like everything that is about audio and ways to learn, podcasts, even music. So when the assistant arrived to my daily life, I was like, okay, this is great. I'm able to do something else at the same time that I'm trying to learn something new, follow up a recipe, or even I don't know, going to my job, having my podcast around. So I have actually at home, I have a Google Mini Home, and my living room is basically a device that is a little bit smaller than other ones, and I actually interact like, hey Google, play music, or hey Google, what's the weather today, or things like that on my daily basis. In my kitchen, I have other device that is. Sorry, I'm not sure how to help with that yet. Yeah, yeah, I think you can
You
hear
just
it.
have it.
It's like, hey, this is me. All right, another introduction from somebody else. Well, that's a Google Assistant. And I have other device in my kitchen with that is that has a display. Basically, it has a small screen. Maybe we can show you later. And what I do is play some videos and follow up some yeah, like even photographs in my kitchen. Like everybody is at home, and we are doing a few interactions with that. So that's how I daily use and the devices that I have at home in around voice technology. Amanda, I think you are the one with a lot of devices there.
Yeah, I do have a few devices. So it starts with my phone for me because I have the Google Assistant on my phone and I use it everywhere, especially not at the moment right now because I'm quarantined at home, but when I'm traveling, I always like to check my flights. And I'm kind of sad. I always like to check my flights and everything. I have my alarm set up with routines, so I don't have to ask many commands like what's the weather like, how is my commute. I already automatized all of them in a routine. So the assistant can be used in your phone. It can be used on your computer when you're accessing websites as well, and it can be on the devices that you're listing there in the chat. So we have Alexa, we have the Google Home. In my house, I have quite a few of them. As Laura mentioned, I have a Mini, I have a Home, I have that name is so long I can never know the order. The Nest, Hub, Max. I probably inverted all the order of all the words. And I find it very interesting how we can use it as a user, as I'm telling all the things that I interact with it. But if I feel that something is missing, that something could help myself out, it could help my community, it could help my job, something at my work, I can also create actions to interact with it. How about you, Liu? How have you been interacting with the assistant in your life?
Ye- Yeah, well, so I have used some of the functionalities that you just mentioned, but I think the coolest part, mainly from the Google Assistant, is that from different well, mainly from Dialogflow, you can build your own actions so you can use it in your daily life. So, for example, I'm really a fan about how this voice technology help people with disabilities, for example. So you can help other people, like if they're blind or if they have some mobility disabilities. So you can also help them to to get things done through the Google Assistant. So or through a voice technology, through a voice interface. So in my example, I work like in my daily life building for banks and transactions, so people can like check their balance account or make some transactions, even for people that doesn't know how to read and write. So the voice interface is like the more natural way that they can get things done. So it's pretty interesting, like all these use cases that we can do. Also, like in your routine, depends on what time of the day. So, for example, when I wake up, um, I tell my voice assistant to, for example, read my emails. So like, hey, what's my emails for today? Or read my calendar appointment. So which are my appointments for the day? Like what are the things that I'm supposed to do. Also, I'm really fun about the new. Well, it's not new, but last year they just released the functionality that you can tell your Google Assistant to call somebody or to send a message to somebody. So if I'm on my car or if I'm on my office, I can tell the voice assistant to, hey, please send a WhatsApp to my mom or to a partner or to anyone that I have on my contact list. So I'm really like, and this is also part about how we are gonna start more not using directly interface, but more like talking with the object. So you talk with your house, you talk with your car, you talk with your watch, you talk with your TV. So it's like we can start
Uh,
seeing from there. Like eventually, we're gonna shift our interactions. Tell me, Amanda.
just on that note, on what you're saying, there is a question here from Eddie. He's asking, can Dialogflow work across devices or only Google Home? I think in a way you just answered that, but if you'd like to say a few more words.
Well, actually, a pretty cool part of Dialogflow, in my experience, is that you can actually integrate with a lot of different devices. So even with Alexa skills or Cortana, well, I think we need to take a look about which ones are still available. But if you go to the integrations on Dialogflow, there are many other devices rather just the Google Home. So you can build for the Alexa or skills for Alexa or even for Microsoft Cortana. So and we're gonna keep seeing like many other integrations and devices that you can have. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
On that note, also, if I can say a small note on that. So Dialogflow, we're thinking a lot about the devices, the assistants, but we can also use this natural language understanding tool to power other conversations. For instance, we have some conversational actions, as people say, the chatbots. For instance, a Facebook Messenger one. So you can use that with integration with other platforms, as Leo is saying. Another question a bit further up in the chat, I haven't forgotten of you, Eddie. Which device and ecosystem is better for developers? Alexa, Google Home? Would anyone like to
That's
say a few
like a
words?
common question, like which one should I use? Alexa, Google Home? Um, Around this question, I would like also to give you a preview as a user and also as a developer. Because we can have like two different things. In my experience, what I found in Google Home is a more friendly kind of environment as a user. Why? First of all, I think this is a parenthesis. I think it understands a little bit better my accent in Spanish than Alexa. I don't know what if you have any other thing with Alexa or currently, if you don't know, Google Home supports a lot of languages, including different types of Spanish, Brazilian Portuguese, and so on. But it was pretty recent that actually they added these languages. So that's what I find out in Google. And the good things that I like about that is that I can integrate a little bit more with other Google products as a developer. For example, I can, as a Firebase GDE, if you don't know what is Firebase, Firebase is a platform for developers that have different features, including doing a database, hosting, and other things, right? And you can integrate Firebase with Dialogflow to actually build Google actions on Google. So I found it an environment that I already knew and it was friendly for me. So that's why I decided to go a little bit more with Google Home and try to build actions on Google with that. I don't know about you, Leo, Amanda, as a
Before
user
we talk,
and also, yeah,
there's just a question
sorry.
here which I think is important that we just get a bit more from you or anyone, Leo or I would like to take lead. So Danielle here says, I'm new in the space as a CS student. I attended some GDC workshop months ago here in Greece, organized by GDG Greece. Shout to GDG Greece. I was wondering,
Yes.
how can I take the most out of the platform and free trainings? Which
Well,
were the platforms that we have used here? Maybe we can share from our own experiences and going to meetups and things that we've learned.
Yeah,
well,
actually, yeah, go Leo, please.
no, go ahead, Laura. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So, first of all, continue going with GDG, right? Because I think it's one of the best ways to learn, going to different meetups, only GDG. You can also learn with different developers that are in the same stage as you, or find even your mentors. You're going to some of the meetups. That's one of the things. Other thing that I really suggest to do is go to the collabs. So, for example, Google has collab, Google.collabs. I can actually share with you later the URL. So you can do follow-up step by step about different collabs. It can be actions on Google, Firebase, or even something else like Android. They have different topics, and you can actually follow that. And then if you have any questions or something like that, it's good to reach out to the community. So that's my main suggestion for you.
Thanks, Laura.
Leo.
Leo?
Yeah. Well, Laura helped a lot with my answer because I was going to suggest the people that you can get started like literally from zero to advanced integrations with the Google Assistant and with the voice interfaces through the Code Labs. So I already shared the link on the YouTube channel so everybody can take a look over there. And you can keep advancing not just in the Google Assistant, but many other Google technologies. Also, we can share with you the GitHub repos that they have on the Google Assistant because they already have projects that you can upload that you can, like don't need to start from zero, but you can have like an example, get to know about like which things you can do with the Google Assistant. Hi, Leslie. And
Thank
yeah,
you, Leo. Can I just quickly
That's a
interrupt you to
yeah,
introduce
sure,
our
sure.
fourth speaker here? Thank you very much for your input. We see that she's really ready there. Are you at home, Leslie?
Now I'm working. Hi.
Oh, wow. There's some heroes who are working at the moment. Thank you
Oh
for that. So,
yeah.
could you just make a quick introduction about yourself, who you are, what you do?
Yeah. Hi everyone. Are we live now?
We are
Yes.
live, yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Hi, my name is Leslie. I'm from Bolivia and I'm currently in La Paz, Bolivia. So you barely see I'm in the kind of presidential building. So I'm working, and now we don't have the beautiful mountain in the back. It's so cloudy. All right. So I have a background in engineering, and I did also computer science. Currently, I'm a GD in machine learning. I really like working with data and algorithms. And currently, I'm working every day here with the Special Commission for the COVID-19. And we are doing data collection, data analysis, and some sort of meetings with politicians, trying to make this work and not die everyone faster. Yeah.
Wow. That's really
Thanks for
something.
your
Thank you.
work.
Thank you for doing that. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Excellent.
so I was ready,
So,
like just getting up from the meeting.
so you're prepared. Just so you have an understanding of what we're doing right now, we're answering some. Um, I'm hearing yourself. Maybe you could put some headphones if you have available.
Yeah, let me look for
Um,
them.
so we're
Or
just
maybe
answering
just
some
mute.
questions.
Maybe
Yeah,
just mute the
just so you know,
YouTube video.
maybe for yeah, for some other people who are doing webinars, this is also new to us. So when you're watching the live, we tend to mute it on the other screen so we can see the questions that you're asking, but we're not hearing what we're saying twice. Also, it's good for the people who are speaking. So some tips for you as well. So we answered a couple of questions, and I'm not sure if it's a bit outside of the topic that we are right now, but I think I can just get back to it quite sudden. You were talking, Leo, about how you can use the assistant with your family to talk to them, and if I can find Eddie's question here. So he said, Leo, great point about checking the balance, but how can we secure it from friends and family? I don't actually understand the question very well, Eddie. Is it that we're having safe conversations one to one? Sorry, what do you mean by secure in this case? Or if you understood the question, please go ahead and answer it.
Well, maybe I have worked with the bank sector, so maybe I can refer it about the security. So, for example, if you in our case that we build a voice interface for the bank. So, in our example, once the user get or want to start a conversation, we always ask for a one-time password. So, for example, in my case, I have this token that every time I need to make a transaction, I need to provide a one-time password. So there's no way, just if you shared with somebody your password or your tokens. This is my case, but also there are a lot of banks that use apps that they have like their tokens. So you can just use it once, and once you use it, you cannot use it anymore. So that's a good way that you can secure financial transactions and things like that. And yeah, maybe I think Eddie was asking related to that, but if he want to go deeper, we can talk a lot more about this. I ask my balance, someone else is at home and can ask the same question. Yeah, Eddie is saying like, what happened if somebody asks for my balance account based on the Google Home that we have in our house or things like that. And actually, a good point is that this is not an action for the Google Assistant; is a voice interface that we built for the bank. So yeah, but we use one-time password and tokens, so people cannot, like just access to your credit information and things like that.
Very good. So, how smart are smart assistants? Thank you, baby. When we say
Maybe
smart
Leslie can
assistants,
help
how
us.
smart are they? Can you hear us, Leslie?
I can
We,
hear
we
you.
can't hear you. Okay, now we can.
Yes, yes. So it depends on what you actually say smart. We should actually talk about different kind of AI, artificial intelligence. We have this sort of separation with the artificial intelligence general and sort of specific. So to be like smart, human, taking decisions, and be creative, you gotta be sort of general artificial intelligence in the sense that you might be working with something, but you have the ability to do something else. And this is not really the case in our today's world because we are most focused, or I mean, most of the researchers has been focused into this specific AI. So, for example, we have the smart cars, the self-driving cars. So, if this car is I don't know, train it to drive itself on the way and do stuff and take some actions according to the traffic lights. So if you ask the car maybe to go on a race or maybe to handle different kind of people where you have, special care, maybe the car won't do it itself because it has this. The car is smart, but the intelligence has been, kind of trained for this sort of task. So we talk about smart assistants. I can say actually it is. I mean, they can handle conversations with you, but it's still a lot of work because as humans, we can be also diverse. And I can start talking about La Paz, and then we can start talking about, my job, and then I can say about like what I ate last night. So if you start chatting like that with a smart assistant, well, it will kind of get lost on the way because it's not very well trained on that sense. And it's a lot of work because it's a lot of training, as well as we know mostly in AI or focus on machine learning where machines are learning. Well, you need a lot of data and a lot of cases and exposures, the same as humans have different, experiences. Because when we were children, then we used to have, random conversations, what we knew, and then we start going to school so we can learn different fields and we get it broad in the sense of conversation, and then we just ended up kind of like this. But so far I could say like so far in the AI specific in the general technology they are smart because they can handle your conversation and they can see sort of if I talk about the weather and then my city, the assistant will understand that I'm talking about the weather of my city on some relations with other, because this is the work like many AI companies are doing through context. Another example there is, for example, Google Translator. If you remember some years ago, you could translate fairly okay, like each word. But if you have a paragraph, it was kind of messy. And it was because of this context and these sentences and combinations and so on. But now machines are getting smarter and then they are having this kind of context. So if I'm talking about food here and I was talking about Bolivia before, so maybe this is talking about Bolivian food and something stuff. So this is what's going on so far.
Brilliant, thank you. So another question. In which ways do you consider that the voice technology is going to change our daily lives?
Can I answer
Oh,
that one? Oh, yeah, I'm very into now the medical side. So I'm learning a lot about this virus and our healthcare system. And I've been reading about this tech supporting and beyond to have all the information storage in technology and blah blah. I have found interesting stuff about assistants, and I think it was mostly focused on Alexa. And it's like most people are like quarantined now at home, and you can start like chatting with your smart device and like, oh, how many cases we have today, how many positives and whatever, or how should do I myself, or where can I go shopping today? So I think technologies is getting very, very deep into our daily lives, not only work, but maybe home. And we are trying to handle this kind of sort of a companion somehow. And I think this is changing the way we even see technology, the way we even see relationship with other people. And yeah, I mean, it's exciting that it's applicable to anything. Even if I want to, many people say stay productive at home and try to stay productive at work. But I can have my smart assistant to train languages, to train on, I don't know, my calendar, because that's very exciting nowadays. I was checking a bit about the history of these assistants back in 2010 when the Siri was released by Apple, and then everything that on with the trainings of AI and voice recognitions and so on. It's been super excited to see like this kind of technology available for every field. So as I mentioned, it's like for medicine, for home, and for many other things there.
Yeah, I would like to add just a quick comment to what Leslie said. It's one of the main case scenarios that are currently happening regarding voice assistant is helping elderly people that are isolated at home to check how they are, to don't feel like they are on their own and things like that. So as Leslie said, there's a new way to interact. In this case, we are interacting with machines. Besides that, I also like to think that the ability to have a device that we are able to use hands-free is another thing that is going to be a trend, and it's already a trend because actually we can hear something that is called voice first, design with voice first, right? Before it was responsive design first, mobile first, and currently there is a new way to talk about voice first. So I think there's a lot of things going on, but actually right now that we are all at home and we are able to see how technology is helping us in those days.
Very good point. I also have a question regarding that in my list. I have some topics to help us out. How do these technologies unlock new ways to serve elderly human needs? So how can we help the elderly at the moment with voice-enabled technologies?
Hello. Yeah. Well, I've been chatting a lot the last years with people that are doing IoT and sort of that things for mostly people in Europe that is more, I mean, more oriented to elderly people. I think, I don't know, it's but I think it's really cool that people they can stay home and they can have these technologies so on hand, but at the same time I hear like people complaining that they still miss like human interaction somehow. Even in Asia, like you have or bring your medicines and bring your stuff, but at the end of the day, like everyone is like, okay, this works and it's all right. But I would suggest a sort of mix option. I mean, we cannot the whole day because of work and everything. People, but to have this sort of smart assistants to support them, but at the end of the day, still have this, human interaction and be able to share with them. I really like talking with my like grandparents about this technology, how it's helping. Sort of no like kind of closeness to technology and what's happening every day, not in the sense like this is the future and you have to handle it. So I think that's sort of.
Very good. I think it's inclusive to mostly everyone. If you have some type of impairment, or let's say a temporary one because you're cooking at the moment and then you can't use your hands and then you can access the recipe with your voice. So there's many ways that you can help the entire population. In that sense, when assessing the potential future impacts of voice technologies, Which fundamental human needs should we pay attention to?
Leo,
Leo,
we're
would
not
you
able to hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was on mute. So I was thinking that the voice technology is gonna hit like every aspect of our life. So from education mainly. So actually, we were in a hackathon. There was somebody asking about hackathons, and we were working on a project actually with Leslie about how maybe you can practice your accent about learning another language with the voice assistant or things like that. So it's pretty interesting, like so from this sectors, for example, from education, but also like helping you getting other things done in your daily life. So I think like all the aspects of our lives is gonna be impact by this voice technology. Also, the main fact that people are going to start more to talk directly with the objects. So we're gonna not use a lot more for example, the smartphones or things like that, but you're gonna talk directly with your car or with your house. So I think like from your supplements for your house, buying your groceries and things like that, to learn a new thing or to help you if you have a disability, or just as you mentioned, Amanda, if you're busy with something, so maybe it can help you even with multitasking stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, we can see that a lot also in situations that you need to do something else. And one thing that is currently that I can see is more and more popular is having voice assistants into the car. Like, for example, BMW is investing a lot in having their own voice assistants. So these kind of things that are maybe we can combine voice assistant with the car. We can combine voice assistants with IoT. What it means IoT, for example, I can say, Alexa, turn off the lights and things like that. We can interact with our devices at home and also with our voice assistant. So this kind of stuff that we do every day, I think that's the ones that we have to pay attention.
very
Well,
good.
I was sure, like, in my ideal world, I would like wake up and just talk to my phone, like, how is the weather like? Am I late? Is it a lot of traffic? Just to handle to be ready for the day. But we've been working quite close with different sections from population, and we have a lot of work with digital transformation, not only with infrastructure about internet, or we, like not many people have like smartphones or any other assistant, but people to get, as I mentioned, this closeness to the technology, and in the sense of life, I mean, where would we use as priority? It would be really nice to have it in, I don't know, banks and hospitals, and maybe grocery store, when you even an app maybe at the main entrance just ask the questions, because that's why we are used to, right, to have people and just ask questions there. So that's why I really like voice interaction, because it's just like very handy to do it and very easy to use, beyond having an application and login and do things. And you just can go and ask questions basic about, I don't know, pharmacy, if you have this or the other, or just to display a list. And yeah, I think in Latin America we still have a lot of work in the sense to have this kind of digital transformation and some sort of I forgot what I want to say. Okay, and to have this sort of people getting used to the technology, to have it, as I mentioned, in a hospital, just to ask, when is my next appointment, or is this doctor available, and to have sort of system, and that would be really cool.
Thank you for your input. Let me go in some other questions that I have here. They're a bit longer, so let me know if you need me to repeat them. So, what can we expect about new ways that voice technologies serve the desire for personalization when we want to customize something. Customize something. Okay,
Can you
repeat
repeat
again.
that?
So yeah, it's quite long. Sorry for that about that. So how can we expect voice technologies to help us when we want to customize things, to personalize them, to make them more suitable for something which is more specific? Is it hard to understand?
I
So
would,
you
I
want
would.
to,
Oh, sorry.
yeah.
I just was thinking, I would try to have log or like memory, like a reminder for myself, but in my voice assistant, and just to grab my ideas and then try to find a way to personalize that, to customize it to what I need. I think that was sort of your question. I don't know. Some people they like taking notes and do stuff. I do sometimes, and I do record voices like, "Oh, remember for this I should do this, or for the other like the other," and then. It's just a recording, but I would like to have sort of AI or a assistant like, okay, you have been talking about not this junk the whole day, so don't do it, and try to remind you every day. So that's what I think.
Thanks, Leslie. Can you
Also,
hear
I
me?
think,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I also think, like, for example, in our case that we're talking about, maybe using Dialogflow interface and things like that. All these data that we have been talking and we have been recording or we have been interacting with, we can also, as a developer, we can have a use eventually through the context and things like that. So if you have told the voice assistant uh, even a month ago that your favorite dish or your favorite food is X, so we can use it later and try to remind you, hey, I have some suggestions about this or about this other place. So all this data that we have been training our model is eventually going to help us to make it the interactions more personal for each one. So I don't provide the same answer to everyone, but I use all the context that the voice assistant have in the system, in the database or things like that. Maybe Laura can help us, like talking about like how you can record all these interactions in your database, in Firebase, for example, or things like that. And later you can use it to give a personalized interaction or a personalized answer to a specific question of a specific user, and not the same robotic answer to everyone.
Exactly. As a user, first of all, what you have to understand is like the more data that an assistant in this case has is going to be more accurate. For example, if I say, um, Alexa, could you please say happy birthday to my best friend, right? But if we didn't even mention before that our best friend is Anna, how the assistant is going to know actually? So it's like the assistant is gonna learn more and more once that we provide more data. And in the other hand, as a developer, there are different ways to actually provide some information. And one is doing with Dialogflow, you can create a backend environment. If you are a JavaScript developer, this is pretty simple because the environment is going to be in Node.js, and you can actually use Firebase as to use that environment. So there you can start trying to even personalize, save your data in Firebase. Also, Firebase has two different databases. One is Firestore, the other one is real-time database. Right? We can talk a little bit more later about that, but just so you can have an idea. And then as a developer, you can start saying, hey, this is my best friend. this is Anna, this is the birthday, this is Amanda, my other friend. So you can record your own list of friends and birthdays, and then you can do a more proper custom actions on Google. For example, hey, who is having whose birthday is today? Hey, today is Amanda's birthday, so send her a gift or something like that. It's as more as we are able to provide certain kind of data, we can actually start doing our personal actions on Google.
I just wanted to say something just about GDE and everything. I find it lovely that we're having interactions here from Costa Rica and Bolivia. They were building an interaction together, a Google action together. And then Laura, you can see how passionate she is about Firebase, and she's taking the opportunity to also share her 2 cents about that. So you have an opportunity here to talk to 4 Google developer experts from Latam with different perspectives. So I think we just have 15 minutes left. So if you have any questions, take advantage of this opportunity because we're prioritizing the things that you are writing in the chat. And talking about
I
that,
think
there is
there's
a
also
question.
a question. Yeah. No, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you. There is a question from, sorry if I pronounce your name incorrectly, from Samath. He's saying, how do you think it can be personal? We're talking about personal interactions. How do you think it can be personal if you're using a shared device with other people?
That's a really good question because, for example, in Google Home, it can recognize different voices. So he can understand that he's talking with Leo or with Amanda or with Leslie or with Laura based on the voice recognition. So it depends on the device that you're using. So, for example, if you're using a text interaction, I think it's going to be harder for the virtual assistant to understand that he's talking with me or with Amanda or with somebody else. But if you're using a voice interface, definitely there's going to be ways that the assistant can recognize that it's talking with a voice that it has like these values and or with these other values. So the voice assistant can start recognizing with which person, not specifically that it's Amanda, but there's another person that it's talking. So he can record in the database that, oh no, these interactions is not from a boy, it's from a girl, for example. So that ways I think that it can still provide you a personal interaction based on your voice recognition.
And if everything that that Leo is saying to you doesn't make sense because you don't know these technologies, in the code labs that Laura referred to earlier on, that I even pasted the link there to the code labs, you have an opportunity to walk through an app, a conversational action that you're going to use most of these. So you can follow the steps, you can do it yourself, and then if you have any questions, you can reach out to us because we're here to help you, the community. That's why we're here on a Saturday.
Indeed, it's really important. I had a sort of presentation. I can share it later. Talking about this technology, I've started with Dialogflow, which is really cool and really easy to start with. And then I've been going deeper to Google Actions, and yeah, it's really fun. And talking about interactions, I don't know. I would say like have your own smart assistant. No, I'm kidding. I think these technologies are more power every time by voice recognition, as I mentioned before, which is really cool. And there are a lot of studies where people are, even recognizing the waves of your voice. And I think this is going so far is going great. So that they mentioned before, they can realize if it's boy or a girl trying to talk to the device, and you can have your sort of account and you have your own data there. And this is a kind of work in progress, and everyone is researching and adding stuff and making it better. And that's why I think it's important also to have the developer community testing this out, because this is really cool. Like if you, for example, I've been trying last year, I think, Dialogflow with Spanish, and I had my mind with the design conversation and interact from mostly Google guidelines, mostly in English, and it worked great. But when I tried to put it in Spanish, it was really interesting that people, how they relate on conversations, how they even start their sentences. So I can also contribute, like, how is this happening in another, like, more language, which is Spanish. And that's why I would support the idea. I am supporting the idea, the Chibi, Amanda, because I think it's very important everyone test it out. And it's not too difficult. If you start even with Dialogflow, with the basics, you don't even need much coding knowledge. Try it, and it's really cool because you learn how conversations work, and you go beyond like what you are used to, like it's just talking to people, but how you can make a machine talking to you. And if you find interesting features to be added or bugs fix it, you can always talk to the community. You can always talk to us as GDEs, and we can make happen a better product for everyone.
Well said. On that note, is voice AI changing consumers' digital behavior? Are we behaving differently because now we can use voice? Maybe you can give examples from your own countries or general ones. Leo, Laura?
I think we're
If
just
I
going to.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to make a quick note that people, Savero especially, he says that I speak very differently. My voice actually changes when I'm speaking a different language. And then my Google Home, it can only understand me in English. Whenever I try to say something, it says, I don't recognize this voice.
Well, I think that we are gonna keep seeing like new ways that companies are going to start using the voice ads, to call it in a certain way. So maybe we haven't figured out like a specific way how it's gonna work. So for example, there's been a huge discussion about what happens when you, so we stopped like making web search directly from a text search. So, which is going to be the response, or which is going to be the ad if you're going to make a voice search? Who's going to be the first person, or who's going to be the best option? So, definitely, we're going to keep seeing in our coming days. Voice ads and how companies are going to start like maybe in a quick ad, in a voice ad, like, hey, we suggest you this X or Y product. Do you want to take a look? And you can keep the conversation with a yes or no, and you can avoid the ad with things like that. Also, I don't know if it's somebody else want to add something related to this, but I think also we have been talking a lot about the data that we stored through the voice interactions and things like that. So maybe in a certain point we can also talk about the privacy of these data, what is going to happen, and what you can do if you want to delete all your interactions or things like that. So maybe in other question, but I don't know if somebody want to add something about these ads and how companies are gonna change things through the voice assistants and the voice interaction.
Yeah,
Well,
just
sorry, go ahead.
yeah, just as a quick note, for example, something that I started to see is new voice technology related profiles, like voice user interface skills that maybe before it was not pretty common. And for example, one thing that I can mention related with the place that we live here, BBC is doing their own content, but not just audio content or things like that. They are actually doing a specific content for devices like Alexa or Google Home. So they are doing a different design in terms of voice and here media. Media, I think, is a huge part in these voice trend technologies. That is, they are investing in this way that people interact. So media, ads, and probably like I think a few months ago or something like that, they've started to use assistants in hotels rooms so people can interact with that. So we are in a stage to see which voice trends are going to happen, but I think that also they're trying to take, okay, this device is going to be able to use in the bank or during e-learning or things like that. But those are the trends that I was able to see.
Well, I just wanted to point out two things. The part of the voice in English, or I mean, when you talk to different languages, it's very interesting because it includes a lot of studies in phonetics. Yeah, I find myself like my voice different if I speak either French or Spanish. But I think is to put it as part of the assistant, so to recognize and even try to help you with your pronunciation, whatever. The other point about customers and behaviors, it's very interesting that in Latin America, maybe more than 50% of people in each country is young people between 20 and 40, and I think young people is very attracted to technology and new stuff going on, even for your peers pressure or because you are curious. But I kind of find that most people are more, they are like most digital native and so on. So even this demand will go up. Like I want to have more interactions with my smartphone or with my smart devices. And yeah, I think that is a good opportunity for us to start providing this sort of services and this sort of functions and applications, whatever. And this is actually also changing the way we are handling or like the commerce and everything, because everything is getting like faster in Amazon, and online everything. And yeah, I think it would be really fun just to talk about what I'm missing in my fridge and have my assistant recording and just help me to buy stuff, because that's my perception. Like young people sort of like living a bit faster, and we have very well to our hand, and I think that's a good opportunity for Latin America.
Definitely. Just some quick notes here from the chat. So Bruno Ripa, my carissimo, asked, "Hi guys, is it possible to trigger an action programmatically? I mean, is it possible to get an external event, to push notification, for example, to trigger an action on a Google Home device?" I actually shared with you a link just 3 messages below yours. A GDE from Japan, Yoichiro, he wrote a code lab, just like we have the official ones. He used the same template. He wrote a code lab on how you can do it. I don't think we're going to have time to go further into that because we only have 2 minutes left. And Ejimil Son wrote, "I believe voice assistant can be very helpful to people with any kind of hand impairment movement," which also takes us back to what I said about the cooking time when you don't have your hands available at that moment as well, and about what Leslie said. As we only have 1 minute left, can anyone just say some final inspiring words to get people building for a voice?
Okay, so I just would like to share. So my experience. I was so fascinated how Siri worked on the iPhone, and then I just tried to get a bit deeper. And maybe at the beginning it was scared, like, oh, I really need to know about phonetics and voice algorithms, a lot of voice recognitions. But it's really cool that we have these different support and templates and whatever, as I mentioned before, that even if you check like Dialogflow, how to start, you have a demo example and it's very easy to understand. And mostly you don't go like very like coding, but then you go like baby steps and go to the other and the other. And it's really fun because then you realize, oh, I could like create another action for something else. I really love traveling, and for example, I was building sort of a tourist assistant when I was living in Belgium, and I just could interact with my actions. So where to go for food, where to go to see, where to go to have fun, whatever. Yeah, it's really cool. And everything has like a learning path. Maybe it depends on your background, but it's not too difficult. It's fun. And again, as I mentioned, if you would like to add more features or fix bugs, you reach the community, talk to us, and we can help you to make this happen.
Thank you. Excellent final words. Thanks, Laura, Leo, Leslie, to be here on a
Thank
Saturday.
you.
So most of us are staying home. Be safe, everyone. We're actually going to have that one moment that I always wanted to have. You know, when you finish watching the news and then you can just see, the reporters there just, moving for a few 20 seconds. We're going to do the same now. So thank you, everyone, for watching. And make sure you subscribe.